Welcome back for Game 3, where Golden Guardians will be facing off against Dignitas. Both of these rosters got a little shake-up in Week 7, with Akaadian subbing in for Grig and Huhi subbing in for Keith.
Akaadian started pretty good, I think, actually, when you look at that game. I thought he had good plays covering for Huni on the top side, and the struggles that came in with the team were more the mid to late game decision-making and continuing to get Huni vision control or playing around the Baron. And I have a hard time putting mid to late game shot calling problems just on the new guy coming in. You can say, oh, it's a Baron, it's the jungler's responsibility, but it's like, well, everyone's supposed to help with setup. You know, you have a support, you have all these other players. So I think Akaadian's debut was pretty good.
There can always be someone that says, this is a bad idea, right?
Yeah,
everybody can pull the plug on the play.
Yeah.
So the Dig Baron throw, unfortunately, still continues and lives on. But I think that Dignitas looked really good up until that point, right?
Yeah.
They had a solid game plan, and I think that Akaadian is giving them a lot more aggression that is independent to somebody else shot calling for him, which is the agency that I think they're looking for in their
He
jungler.
has some good insect kicks and skirmishes in the mid game, which is a step up, I think.
Now, what would be the expectation on the side of Golden Guardians with Keith out and Huhi in?
Big, actually.
Big
I got
expectations.
big expectations for him. Yeah, I've been casting the Academy with Huhi. I think Huhi's been doing pretty well down there with FBI. I think that Huhi should be a better shot caller for this team to minimize the amount of isolated deaths they have. They had the record-breaking 8, I believe, game, and so...
Well, for this split, not the most in LCS history. That's an old Echo Fox record of like 15 isolated deaths in one game.
And so, like, just having a guy that can tell you, hey, this is what we're doing, come set this up, should decrease that by at least 5. So maybe we can have 3 isolated deaths.
At least.
And can you show me the math that brought you to
minus
5?
5 ISO death.
Got it. Thank you for the math.
Yeah, I mean, it's curious. I assume he'll be better about ward play, map play, shot calling. Potentially, the laning is something I'm a little curious about, but that's not where I think Golden Guardian's problems are, like we're saying with the ISO deaths. So I want to see if he can bring more stability to the team in the mid to late.
It is really curious, though, that Huhi is also somebody that role swapped to support that is now replacing somebody that also role swapped to support.
So which one of them did it better, right? From 2 different roles, that is important to note. One from mid to support, the other from AD carry to support. Within this matchup, though, itself, both of these teams are just below that playoff line currently. Dignitas does have one more game under their belt due to the way the weekend has played out so far, but both sitting at 5 wins and below kind of that tie for 5th place. Again, puts so much weight and pressure on actually coming away with the victory in this match to further separate yourselves from each other. But that's where, while we can acknowledge the teams and the orgs are making these kind of last-minute swaps to try and make the push, well, I think we need to recognize is that kind of undue pressure that gets put on the guys slotting in who now have that responsibility to live up to it.
I think the guy slotting in doesn't feel that much pressure because you know that it wasn't your fault that you're in this position anyways. So you're totally fine just coming into the team and giving it your all. No pressure is where teams end up performing the best.
I wish I could have that mentality.
I assume
That's my mentality.
I assume there's still
wish.
pressure in this game because 5 and 7 and 5 and 8, like these are the wins that are the most important because these are the people where when tiebreakers
You
start
need
coming
to be
in.
There is
team
pressure, not on Huhi, though. That's what I'm saying. Like, I think Huhi does not have a lot of pressure.
Really?
Yeah.
I think you still do. My point is
I
that
think
it's an important game.
I think you could argue it's dependent on the person and their personality, right?
Yeah.
But I'm being brought in to save the season. I'm also not arguing that pressure is
Like,
a
think
bad
about
thing
Poe
in all
Belter.
cases,
How much pressure did Poe Belter have?
They were out of playoffs.
They're out
They
of
were
playoffs.
Not yet. Not yet, all right?
It's okay. I concede that point.
Yeah.
I concede that point.
Mathematically, there's less pressure.
I was going
Yes.
to say, the way he's talking about it, it sounds like they're out of it. We digress. A very important matchup for both teams here, hitting the stage with subs coming in just this week. Despite the roster changes on both of these teams, my eyes are still on the top lane matchup. Credit to Huni, who survived a lot of focus yesterday.
I mean, this is one of the most storied rivalries at this point still running in the LCS. Huni versus Hauntzer. They've been going back and forth. There was a period of time where they were both in discussion for MVP candidate even. So it's cool to see them squaring off yet again, another time that these guys are
super
going
similar
again.
numbers.
Yeah, I think it's because they're both relatively volatile. So when things go well, they dominate, and then sometimes they get hard focused by the enemy and things don't go well for them. So That's why it's always fun to watch these two, because you know they're playing to win lane.
Yeah, I mean, the Lucian in the top lane is a champion
yeah.
that will skew your stats tremendously, whether it's you body the opponent or you are completely useless because you have not gotten a lead in lane.
So the question is, when you have two volatile top laners like this, that where the game really could be swingy based on either of them.
Jungle go top.
Jungle
Go
yeah,
top, of course.
exactly.
But also, too, I think it'll influence the matchup, right? Does Huni go for something as dominant as a Lucian with Ignite and try and completely slam Hauntzer, or do they go for something that's maybe a little bit more of an even, skilly matchup and rely on the junglers to come turn it?
What do you think?
That felt like a C9 game plan. Yeah, so like I still expect like Hauntzer could play Fiora. Like if the draft situation aligns that they start bringing out their pocket picks to hard carry games, I expect that. But I don't think it's a we're coming in with Lucian top. That's the game plan.
Okay, fair enough. We will get our answers soon enough, as I am told that the players are just loading in to Champion Select. That's my call. That's my signal to toss it out to the casters to get us into the game.
Thank you very much, Dash. We are about to get into Champion Select for Golden Guardians versus Dignitas. You can see on your screen 5 and 7, 5 and 8 is these teams in turmoil in what they call the middle of the soup. We'll see if they can climb themselves out here, get themselves an A on the game. We're going to go through bans right now. First 3 from Golden Guardians are quite fast, as we'll see the final one here. Kiana and the Janna now getting banned out.
All right, I'm looking at the Senna still up as well as the Sett.
All right.
2 big choices right now for Dignitas. They have to choose what they are willing to give over to the Golden Guardians as far as the first pick. And I agree that I don't think Senna should ever be given over, so the Sett is left open, and that will be picked up by Golden Guardians. The Janna top that you mentioned, or the Janna ban that you mentioned, everybody's assuming now is the Janna top that has become so prevalent. There are more supports that you can play in the top lane, by the way. Top yellow, solo queue in Korea especially, Zillion super popular.
Yep.
But Mordekaiser is the answer locked in here for Dignitas, which hasn't been one that has super impressed me into the Sett. I think Sett has pretty easy access to a lot of to dealing with a lot of what Mordekaiser wants to accomplish in the top side, and Sett brings more to your team fight with the ultimate and the big AoE.
See what we have around the map. I'm interested what Closer and Goldenglue also go with here. We expect Huni to be quite strong in the top side for this matchup.
Now, another small funny story. Yes, Kalista, everyone thinks of it as the bottom laner, has also been played top because you can have a lot more options doing your Oathsworn with your jungler or with even a mid lane champion I've seen in a couple of these solo queue games. And then you have crazy stuff coming out, like Cannons are bound to the Kalista. So this is probably going to be an AD carry Kalista, but I want to leave the door open because it has recently been played in the solo lane position.
Froggen playing to the crowd. We have a bunch of York fans here today as you see the Aatrox locked in as well on the side of Golden Guardians. We'll see where this Sett decides to go in the end.
Bunch of York fans.
Going over to Thresh. That's the yeah for me. He gets locked in. We're back to the second phase of bans here, and we'll see what the teams have for each other.
If you have Yorick and Mordekaiser, the Gravedigger Death Lord combo, I just feel like that's just a champ select win, right? The crowd is in there.
Still could get it. He still could get it. Sorry, hopes up. Corky banned out. Could have a Zir on one side if that's going to be the case. And 20 seconds here for Dignitas to finalize a ban.
Yeah, if they're looking at a lot of the popular just blind pick mids, you know, the Zoe, the Syndra, the LeBlanc, those are the obvious ones that are still left up for the AP options. That would mean that Dig would have to do an AD jungler, though, because they already have Mordekaiser AP threat from the top side, which is very, very doable. You know, you can do double AP solo laners with an AD jungler, no problem. And their LeBlanc's off the table. See if they also take out the Zoe.
Yeah, looking back through Goldenglue's plays, that's the smart one. The LeBlanc 3-0-4 just in week 6 against the Mortals, and his other plays first week 6-3-5. He definitely can put up some power on that. So a good ban from Dignitas doing their homework. What does Golden Guardians feel like is priority, though, to take out from? It's going to be Akaadian, the Gragas in the jungle.
Gragas definitely combines with a lot of AD mid laners really well because Gragas, obviously, everyone knows the split initiation, body slam flash, the terror of all mid laners. They have nightmares about it. Can definitely be a very big problem. And Froggen himself has carried a lot of games for Dignitas. So they give up the opportunity of banning that Zoe and immediately locked in. No surprises here, Riv.
Syndra on the other side. You gonna do it, Goldenglue? What's he feeling? He has had Diana in the past few weeks. The Orianna did not work so much for him recently. What will he have?
I like
Feel
the
comfortable?
Syndra because it's pretty easy to land your stuns on the Zoe.
Yep.
And the burst damage, like we say, whenever you have junglers coming through, can definitely turn into kills on the Zoe. She is just one of the most annoying champions to deal with, and you're always going to have to worry about that mid-game long-range poke from her, though. We'll see if they can combine this Syndra with a jungler for closer to get those kills, and there you go.
Ooh.
Something that has really risen in priority. It can either be a Pantheon jungle or a Sett jungle, and the other one go top lane, but I expect it to be jungle Pantheon. And even though jungle Pantheon has a much lower win rate for solo queue, he has gained popularity in the professional scene because of the early pressure you can put on lanes. Flashing in for point-and-click stuns and going for tower dives. They can really utilize the immunity, directional immunity for Pantheon to pull off tower dives on champions like Zoe very, very effectively. So that's what I want to see from closer, from Goldenglue. With a Syndra Pantheon combo, they should try and rule the mid lane for the team.
We're definitely seeing a lot of that Pantheon, as you are saying. Cloud9's contract's playing that a little bit over in the Academy League. And we're going to see it locked in here for Golden Guardians with that Sett support from huhi as he locks himself onto the LCS stage with the Bruiser on the bot side, looking to get thrown in as that Oathsworn from Kalista on her Fate's Call. And we'll see how that plays out against the Thresh and the Misfortune of bot side. I'm liking this matchup.
Yeah.
Pretty spicy for Golden Guardians as well.
I always love, the melee supports with Kalista because you get to throw in with the closer range with the ultimate and use it super offensively rather than only using it defensively. Sett is already annoying to try and kill. If Sett is also bound to Kalista, then even if you do get past the shields, then the ultimate comes out, gets the big save there. So you can definitely see a lot of potential in this champion for huhi and this combination for huhi and FBI. So Golden Guardians making a big bet, subbing out Keith, subbing in huhi here, who made the role swap over to support a lot earlier. And they've got a very interesting combo down here and an interesting matchup for his first LCS stage game this year.
Yeah, it's not a Tom Kench going in that. And also with the Pantheon, sometimes you see the Braum, you get the double shield, things get safe. You don't really need to stop too much poke coming in other than Zoe's on the side of Dignitas, this one on this game. We are going to be getting into game number 3 here. There's Goldenglue and Froggen on your screen as they are ready and poised to get to the mid lane and battle each other. We're on to the Rift. Let's see what these teams have for each other.
Really important one here. So close in the standings. Dignitas losing their previous game means that they are half a one down here from the Golden Guardians, but definitely some time to make up ground. Everybody trying to get their wins in as quickly as possible to have a good shot at that playoff spot.
And we have a quick sideline with the Narrow to see what's going on with Golden Guardians.
Well, obviously, we had to get your thoughts on the swap coming in. Very rare to see an ADC to support swap in for an ADC to support. So what do you feel that huhi's going to bring here to the table today?
Definitely expect huhi to be bringing a lot of stuff in the way of communication. This is probably one of the hardest decisions I've ever had to make as a coach. Keith really did so well as a player to improve on this, and I'm kind of the person that pushed him towards taking this risk. So even making this swap, it really hurt me, honestly. But Jay's good. Jay's a good player. Jay was always a good player. We just expected we wouldn't need this level of communication he brings. But as the split went on, we realized, yeah, we think we need this. And practice has been great with Jay, so I expect it to be really good.
Well, you're commending both of the players in this case, and we saw Keith really prioritizing a lot of the engage potential, which also seems to be heavy in the meta. Do you think that coming from the ADC aggressive background helps with both of these players in that aspect?
Yeah, I think with Keith, probably the biggest thing was just laning. He understood a whole lot better than Jay did initially since he played in the lane. So it was really easy for him to play engage supports like Thresh, like Nautilus. He felt a lot more comfortable on those. As for Jay playing for mid lane, he definitely understands the map a lot better too and what he can do. So playing stuff more like these flex picks like Sett, playing like Tom Pinch, he's always been better at. So yeah, it's like a different level of strength that they both bring from being from different roles.
All right, bringing those roles into the Rift here today. Let's head back to it.
Yeah, I realize a lot of people have not watched LCS as long as us, Riv, and don't know the history of huhi how so many people were really excited, actually, when they first heard that he was going to swap to support. And he's been doing it a while now, but it's because he made a name for himself with the Aurelion Sol roaming style mid lane champions, playing a lot for the team. And I like how Aneros is highlighting his communication with the team.
Yeah.
He's always had very good relationships with the rest of the players, and he's able to coordinate, things like level 2 roams on Aurelion Sol with your bottom lane. Now he's doing it from the support position where you have a lot of setup but a lot of control, and even more so in this particular game because, as we mentioned, combining it with a champion like Kalista gives you so many playmaking options. Kalista notoriously, of course, does not scale as well as a lot of other marksman because you're not going to go for crit multipliers later on, but she has such good early spikes and really puts an emphasis on dragon control. Not only because of the long, strong lane phase, but also because of the Rens that help out your jungler with extra damage for those neutral objectives.
Talking about huhi and those communications, I'm excited to see how the fights are organized with closers, Pantheon ult coming in, Hauntzer possibly teleporting. There's so much that they can do to create fights here. We'll see how those get organized as the time comes. Still just at level 3 and 4 in lanes. Huni rather, and Hauntzer going back and forth. That'll be a fun one. As Johnsun takes quite a bit of damage on the bot side of the map. They get pushed into their turret pretty hard and right quick as they cannot fight huhi and FBI.
Hauntzer, good sidestep there, doesn't get pulled in. Possibility of a little bit of extra damage since Akaadian was hovering on the top side. I like this as well, and it's something to point out with a lot of jungler movement. If you don't have to spend much time to get your recall off over by your top laner, especially as Rek'Sai, that provides that passive where you get sonar basically to alert you if the enemy jungler is around, you can basically just buffer Huhi's playstyle. You give him an extra little alert system and allow Huni to push up. That's going to be really annoying having both of them in the same game now.
I just went through it. I'm trying to train my brain already. We'll see. Akaadian almost getting found out there. 100% kill participation for him in first blood. I should say just in first blood, not kill participation, but 100% first blood. But it's only one game, so the stats are a bit buffed there. We'll see if he can keep up on that rate as he already tried top side.
Yeah, buffed, much like Akaadian himself. He comes in, I'd say that most people consensus on yesterday, probably the best player on the team yesterday in his debut substitution this year. Really well done on the Lee Sin. A lot of it was.
He was cruising.
Yeah, hovering around top side, protecting Huni's aggressive play style, really playing to the team. Fitting in with a team that quickly really does say a lot. I wanted to point out a lot of the extra wards that they had done too. A lot of vision here that is now disappearing for Dignitas, but he did a very good job moving in, also using the extra information to go for the invade, and he's pulled slightly ahead of closer on the extra camps. Full clearing back to his top side now.
Being a nuisance. Just a hook into the dark for aphromoo and huhi, so the disjointed backs now kind of work out as Johnsun can come back with FBI also doing the same. Wave is pretty much stalled out in the middle for the bot side with a slight lead towards FBI, but it's barrier to heal and exhaust and heal for the other side on the support, so not too much aggression to come out of these bot lanes with the summoner spell.
I actually really like the discussion too, because exhaust itself was buffed. Extra half a second on the duration of it really does go a long way. It was a decent summoner spell already, reducing a lot of damage, but it can shut things down like Pantheon that are jumping into the middle of your team. It's a fairly squishy jungler, and if you take away the damage options and slow the champion too, so you can then get around his directional immunity, makes it a lot easier to deal with. So aphromoo definitely has a lot of answers for the team right now with Thresh, able to get those plays as well. We'll see if anything does happen mid lane. I probably expect there to be less action initially mid lane because both of them has taken cleanse.
Yeah.
We were looking for early kill pressure, but if both mid laners opt into the cleanses, it really puts a stop to those CC chains.
See a bit of a fight onto Akaadian. He should be able to tunnel out of this with Froggen helping. A walk back from Hauntzer as he gets to top, which means Huni should be able to do the same and get himself there without a teleport. So nicely done by the top laners, and that CS should be cleaned up by Hauntzer, which gives him about wave lead, rather.
Yeah, Hauntzer's got the wave in a really nice spot for himself. Hunting guys return there for Huni on the Mordekaiser. Gonna be able to stack up damage over time. Should be able to get good use out of the madness in a melee versus a melee matchup there versus the Aatrox. Meanwhile, mid lane, they're mostly just fighting over shoving the waves. As we talked about, both of them with the cleanses, a lot more defensive there. We'll have to see if the junglers make their first moves, because once level 6 does come in, pretty big options for both, and they're very different. Rek'Sai has options for ganking over walls that other junglers do not have. If we look at the top side like we are right now, you know, getting behind him and going over this wall is something that is very rare for junglers, because you want to have your dash ability plus your CC abilities after you go for the ganks. But you'll have extra damage there with your level 6 acquired for the ultimate too.
Surprised to see no rotation here, especially with it being Cloud Drake first. Nobody wants that Rift Herald right away. Seems like Akaadian Closer have been able to find each other on the jungle ever so slightly and keep track of each other, so it's been hard to get up there. Vision's already on that by Golden Guardian for Rift Herald, so ping has just gone down by Dignitas. Maybe they'll start to head over. There is aphromoo following Akaadian.
And look at this. Going into the Dragon, FBI and Huhi actually go clear out the ward. Meanwhile, aphromoo has roamed to the top side of the map. You see Thresh on your mini-map right now. aphromoo hovering up around the possible Rift Herald swap play. Everybody knows you're 8 minutes as soon as he's up there. Very common nowadays. So Dignitas looking around for where Golden Guardians are trying to get their extra pressure.
It's the Man of Steel. Just walks up to Fog of War and feels like clearing out a tunnel. Didn't even know there were 3 members on the other side. So Golden Guardians feel like they have pretty good control apparently, as they see FBI and Huhi moving up and down the river, knowing Dignitas is doing some type of roaming. As that all comes to an end, they just realize Dignitas is now power and numbers on bot side.
Yeah, and there's a reason for the trepidation on the side of Dignitas, because they know that Pantheon is now level 6. Even if
That's a good point.
If they do not have vision immediately of this champion, if you start out a play, you have to account for the possibility of the ultimate coming in, of them turning around that numbers advantage. So that's why both teams are just playing to very conservative ward lines right now. And Dignitas take their time, drop down their triple control wards through the river, slowly clear out those wards before finally starting up the Dragon and just trading the objectives. Rift Herald going over to the side of Golden Guardian.
That'll feel good. The fight topside would have been fantastic too. Caulfield's finished up there, so having a big cooldown for the fight. It looks like those are trade objectives, as you said. Looking at the goal differences on the map, no core items just yet, as we're just at the 10-minute mark. But Ocean Drake is next, so we got Mountain or Infernal to change the rift.
And this trade, see if the hook lands, does.
Coming around, Huhi looks like he could be in a bad spot here. Tries to get the face breaker down, Haymaker back for shield, and Akaadian doesn't want anything to do with that now.
We get some woos in the audience for a little bit of action. Nice
Yeah.
Haymaker there. Finally some
Trickled around.
damage dealt. This change, though, is not really, the trade of objectives is not really a surprise. I have some stats for you for the Golden Guardians. They're actually top 3 in the LCS in first tower percentage, first 3 tower percentage, that's
Wow,
getting all
okay.
3 of the outers,
They're a bit
and in Rift Herald control. However, they are bottom in Dragon control. So very often, Golden Guardians are making this choice. And there's a very long discussion about gold early game versus dragon stacking early game. Golden Guardians for this season have always gone for the top side and for the gold. They currently are holding on to the Rift Herald. If you get your Cleanse Flash burned on the Zoe, then mid lane is definitely a very viable area to try and use that Rift Herald, get your turret plates, and get down the most important line of outer defenses.
Or you just use your opponent's Cleanse and Flash, right? Yeah.
There you go. Zoe can just pick up Goldenglue next time he uses hits.
There you go. But yeah, it definitely makes it a bit harder for Froggen to be as aggressive in the mid lane. We've seen Akaadian be in there a few times, but Closer comes in for an attack. As Rift Herald heads bot, that's going to be able to take down the turret with 2 plates up. And that's a nice cleanup for that. Here they go on to Goldenglue, though, knowing he can play aggressive, thinking Froggen's flash. And spells are down, but he's able to tiptoe out of that aggressive three-man gank mid as they drop the bot turret. Golden Guardians head up in gold.
And Golden Guardians increase their first tower percentage here yet again. Good Rift Herald usage there. FBI and huhi had been able to take so many plates on their own. I think they almost got a full 3 on their own and then just used the Rift Herald to knock down the last 2 there, also acquiring first turret bonus. And you can see the power of Kalista there, bonded with Sett, able to wear down on that area of the map. And now they've got this nice gold lead to work with. What you want to do as soon as you get that area of the map opened up, rotate through, because Kalista Sett so much playmaking potential here with the ultimate available. And that's why they've got FBI and huhi immediately to the mid lane, keeping up that pressure, trying to get as many turret plates as they possibly can in the 1 minute left before they fall.
Especially when they even get a little bit of a lead. This duo is so hard to take down as they move together, because FBI gets to stand back. huhi can usually take shots, and you fake call him out of a bad situation if you're too close to the turret, and you get initiated on. So they have quite a bit of agency as they move around the map right now. Goldenglue and the rest of the team looks like they've panned back out to their positions as Goldenglue takes back the mid lane. And we'll see Hauntzer head back bottom. Dignitas now looking for something. Picks and ward clears is the name of the game, with bubbles and hooks coming from aphromoo and Froggen right now.
I do like as well the early pickup of the Bramble Vest here for Huni. Aatrox has a ridiculous amount of healing in the kit, especially when you pop your ultimate. And if he goes for those 1v1s, then Aatrox will reliably apply that Grievous Wounds to himself, because melee champion's going to have to in order to trade with you at all. And that bolsters one of the possible options that Dignitas do have for this mid game, is setting that Mordekaiser. You get him to level 11 for your level 2 ultimate, and he'll be able to keep up that side lane pressure, even though they are the first ones to lose their outer turret. They have a lot less territory to work with on bottom side, and it's less safe. Mordekaiser is one of the champions that you can utilize to do it, obviously, because you just ult the jungler or whoever's coming to gank you and make it a 1v1 for the duration.
So if you're in a fight with Huni and his Mordekaiser, who are you grabbing on Golden Guardians?
Well, I mean,
in the best situation.
In the best situation, honestly, I grab the Kalista, because then you cannot use your ultimate, and it actually hurts huhi and FBI. Kalista is very annoying because of the hopping, though, so you have to be in a very good position and know that you have, you know, flash advantage or something like that to make sure you can actually kill the Kalista, or make sure you land your abilities. Because Kalista is definitely one of the ones that can outplay the Mordekaiser in the death realm, so I get a little hesitant. The other main option would be closer, the jungler, Pantheon. I'd say jungler is almost always a good option for solo lane Mordekaisers to ult, because you will pretty much always know that you will have a level lead and be able to take that one.
On vision here, Hauntzer's going to start up the Drake. Could be getting a little bit of healing onto the team, and we'll see what Rift changes like after this one. 25.5 to 23.5, so Golden Guardians holding a slight lead, but not really feeling, I'd say, comfortable to push that, or maybe they're just waiting for Dignitas to make a mistake. Dig has been doing a great job at clearing. Props to aphromoo. Every time we see him on the screen, he's got a sweeper up, or he's a Scryer Bloom, scratching down these wards from Golden Guardian. So I guess it would be hard to go into the Fog of War against that Zoe and Thresh, and especially Akaadian. You want to know that you are on sonar if it's happening.
Yep, big pickup there of the Dragon as well for the Golden Guardians. You see they take advantage of that reset timer on Dignitas' side. As soon as they have everybody back in base, cleanly pick up that Drake. Outer tower on the bottom side being down also means that Huni couldn't push up. They didn't have any extra minion vision or anything, so well done by the Golden Guardians to secure themselves a neutral objective without any confrontation on the side of Dig. And able to get to their first item breakpoints.
There's the gold on your screen. Is actually a lot of this might be used in the next fight. Everybody's spiking a little bit on that first item. Blade of the Rune King, Essence Reaver for your marksman in respective. We'll see this going down now. 9,000 onto the Rift Herald. Akaadian gonna go over the wall. He's got to go real deep for this. They pulled it out. Very nice by Golden Guardians to kind of situate Dignitas in a way they would not want to fight. And Golden Guardians is able to come up with 2 of those Rift Heralds. Stats going up, Kobe.
That's our new Porcupine Rift Herald skin as well. You see with all the Kalista spears in Shelly. We'll have different versions out shortly. Very defensive ward line, though. Like you're talking about, Dig have been very diligent on making sure there's no Golden Guardian wards across the river, but Golden Guardians aren't stepping across the river. They're just controlling neutral objectives. Ping pong, you get your dragon, then they actually just reset, rotate everybody up to the top side, grab Rift Herald number 2, and Rift Herald number 2 should mean outer turret number 2. We'll go to the side of Golden Guardians. I'd rather see them use it towards mid lane because that really opens up your possibilities post 20 minutes as far as a lot of Baron control goes, but their options top are just fine as well, and Closer's the one holding it.
You can see the goal is just about 400, I'd say, in favor of most of those lanes. The jungler's pretty even, and the support's actually a pretty big jump there. 700 gold for Huhi as he's cleaning things up and farming as much as he can too to stay strong. That's going to be a heck of a fight coming from FBI and Huhi. We haven't really seen Golden Guardians get into a fight, but in that, we haven't seen Dignitas get into a fight yet either. 0-0, Kobe.
True, Riv. We've got peace on the Rift. No fight
nice.
to be found here.
And it's Infernal too. Ocean's already gone, so they should be getting pretty hypey right now. It's just about the objectives. It's all aggression towards objectives. Possibly a fight here towards the mid lane. Still staying safe. Golden Guardian sends the bruisers to the front, and they're able to take down mid turret as well. Top turret is the only thing that stands now for Dignitas on that outer rim. And Golden Guardians have everything up on the map so far. The only thing they've lost is that Cloud Drake, so they will back up. Dignitas still looking for ways in, but they're not forcing themselves into a fight. Feeling like they're behind, which I think is also a good mentality. Keep yourself in.
Yeah, it's definitely tough because we keep on this defensive path for Dig, and they're going to continue to lose territory. We just put mid lane turret at top of the list, Riv. Top of the list is checked off now for Golden Guardians. Rift Herald used, mid turret down, and it's only half a minute until the Baron does come up. So very clear move here for Golden Guardians now. Top side, last outer turret for them, and then they can start to whittle away at that defensive Dignitas territory where all of these wards that they have diligently kept up the entire game have not amounted to any counterattacks. They have not amounted to any attempts at that playmaking where you are the team with Zoe, Thresh, and Rek'Sai. Definitely all possibilities of finding picks, but maybe we see one here on the little invade. Aphromoo is sussed out as the ward over the wall does find him, and we will not get a pick today.
All right, Dig's starting to get themselves onto the other side. See what they can get in terms of pushing. I was thinking as I look at the second half of their split here, the win versus Immortals in week 5 on day 1, but losses since, and can easily make that timid mentality where, well, we don't want to lose again, so we got to look for that perfect play. And like you said, if you pay that passive, you can't really get an attack in at any time.
Yeah, it definitely can be a downward spiral if you start losing and it starts to affect your mentality. Dignitas are currently on a 4-game losing streak, and they do not want to make a mistake. However, dragon stacking is occurring for Golden Guardians now, as this one will also be picked up without any sort of contest from Dig.
That looked risky for Goldenglue for a moment. So a Drake is picked up once again, 2 away from Infernal Soul for the side of Golden Guardians, 3 away for Dignitas here as Dig starts to pick up that Baron control. Maybe they feel like the 5v5 could be in their favor. We're 21 minutes in without a kill just yet. It's all about the turrets, it's all about the objectives, and it looks like Dig will also pick up their first turret top. No, FBI stands alone as the forward vision for Dignitas is not enough to let them know that turret was possible.
Yep, the boss comes walking up the river. Huhi runs them out of town. And no, Golden Guardians defense will fall today. Now, we are past the stage where you're looking at Rek'Sai and you're looking at Akaadian for playmaking.
Right.
Rek'Sai's biggest time to shine is during lane phase. Lots of gank possibilities for the champions.
Swipe them up.
Exactly. It's even hit home even more because of the Hello Blades is the more early game bursty keystone. than the Conqueror that you sometimes see, but now you're in the stage of the game where it's so much more about grouping for the Baron dance, for the dragon stacking that is about to occur, that the picks have to more come from the Zoe bubbles over walls. You mentioned that you need your vision to set those up, plus the Thresh possibilities of either following up or even starting those plays out. Otherwise, you know, Rek'Sai can go for a big flash play, but it has to be with concise coordination from the entire team, because it's becomes so much more risky once the teams start to group up. And you have this 5-on-5 you're facing with Golden Guardians where you're thinking, oh my god, all right, where is this? We have to mark so many things. Where is the Aatrox? Possibility of a flank there. You're worrying about the Kalista ultimate on Sett, which is amazing AoE that can start a team fight out. And Pantheon ults over the back of your team from anywhere, so Golden Guardians just effortlessly move up, take down another objective here, and that is the last of the outer turrets, continuing in line with their stats, bolstering first to 3 as well.
Who knew? The communication from huhi. He's like, it's like, let's play the pacifist game. We can win without getting a kill. Let's do it. He's really putting himself
Very
out there.
zen today.
Very zen today, it is. I like it.
Deep breaths. Baron taking one as well. What just happened? They were poking me for a while. They completely pull off. Yeah, no reason to rush it right now. It's only 23.5 minutes into the game, and there's no kill to be had, and no reason to rush that ahead.
So 39.4, 37.1. I just did the same thing. Yep. We'll get that for you in a second for the latest first blood, because it's got to be coming up soon. I mean, the golems are just taking a beating this game.
Yeah,
Watch
honestly,
out.
we've got a
If you're a jungle camp, oh man.
The chickens! Think of the chickens!
There's so many. They're building up the confidence. I mean, look at this. I can fight 6 people at once.
Look at that clean,
Go into 5
clean
now.
tunnel usage here by Akaadian.
We're in there. Here we go.
Scuttle Crab speed,
look at
speeds
this.
him up. They hit the Scryer's Bloom and Riv.
Dramatization with
Ward.
Fog of War.
Ward fight, ward fight, ward fight.
Whoa! It's a bubble! Oh, he is cleansed. But the ward goes down. Progress.
Okay. Remember, both these teams sitting at 5 wins right now. Possibilities that either of them fall out of contention for playoffs. Currently, I would say they both have great chances for getting in. But this game is definitely going to move the needle quite a lot as far as perception.
So 13-13 for this split was the latest previous first blood. I remember Mega Zero.
Blow it out of the
Mega
water!
Zero's on Renekton was like 24 minutes back in the day. So we're past that too. Oh,
Should we go for an all-time record?
yeah. Let's go for every league.
I am sure
Let's
that
do it.
I'm sure that we've never ended a game without a kill. The True Pacifist Award.
Ooh.
That's one of those achievements that pops up on your Steam and you're just like, why don't really feel proud to have that, but kind of I do.
One of the craziest stats I remember was Chowster's Janet game where he lived for 60 minutes on that one.
Yeah.
When he's on CLG. I still remember that, but there are some good ones. We'll see if we can get one for this. We're checking the longest record right now.
I always thought it was funny when I'd be watching a basketball game with my family and they would just throw out these stats that were like, on Tuesdays when pizza is served in the arena, they have never missed more than 4.5 free throws. And it's like, what? That sounds interesting.
Give him pizza!
It's not really.
I want some pizza now. Damn.
Oh,
almost.
boy.
Kobe, there's going to be a death. I cannot wait.
Hauntzer kind of flanking, but they had a Rek'Sai and it saw him and he walked out. Here we go!
This is the part I'm here for. Oh, Aphromoo's going to get hit first. The hooks are going out, and it's going to be Aphro going down for first blood. It's going into the hands. FBI, he says, open up. We're coming on in. He's going to be in the death realm. Huhi in the death realm. But they take the tanky guy, and he's going to be able to come back out with a 50 kale shot coming from Goldenglue. There's another one as Akaadian falls to the floor. They'll drop Johnsun too. And Golden Guardians drop Dignitas for the first fight of the game.
Golden Guardians dropped the big elbow on him there, Riv. They were taking neutral objective after neutral objective, and finally with the fight, we see why the Golden Guardians smash Dignitas here. That's gonna be the Baron. They can also go grab the dragon, and I don't think there's going to be a strong contest from Dig. Their revival timers are coming up now. Froggen does not have a smite picked up, so he does not go for a possible Zoe steal. Baron and Power recalls mean they can recall and they get back out to that Drake. Let's take a look at this team fight though. We mentioned the Sett and Kalista combo. They don't even have to use it. Huhi knows.
Oh, that face breaker.
He could just flash in there, front line, and then even though he gets ulted by Mordekaiser as a support, he's got a stopwatch, and he's also Sett, so crazy regeneration is able to survive the Death Realm. And once he pops out, he knows that his team has won the 4v4 side of it as well.
Oh, we're going right back into it. Dig's gonna lose another one. That's actually Dragon going over to Akaadian, but they do take down Huni. At the same time, this game went from pacifist to pass the fist real quick. 27.5 minutes, still fight towards the bot side. aphromoo is gonna get taken out here possibly by Hauntzer. In the 1v1 as Akaadian comes to help, but he probably put himself in a bad spot. Tunnels to safety and huhi, there it is. Can't face break him back.
Yep, one bright spot for Dig is that Akaadian did steal that dragon like you're talking about. They get an Infernal Drake, they delay the possibility of the 3 and the soul, but unfortunately for them, Riv, I'm going to predict this game does not pop up a soul dragon, and Golden Guardians are inside the base with that Baron buff. As you can see with the spike in the gold graph, they are running amok.
Yeah, that's going to be a big one for Dignitas to have to climb back up. Lose the bottom inhibitor turret. Top lane is also getting pushed in slightly for Golden Guardians, so they can head towards top if they can stay after this fight in mid. But they have a minion wave right here. It looks like Hauntzer might actually start to get a solo split, or at least keep that gate of Dignitas' bait clean. Possible fight coming in, and it is a fight. No possibility needed. Akaadian goes down. They're going to lose another one in Huni, and it is quick for Dignitas as they get into these fights and they're instantly dropped. Golden Guardians is so strong at this point. They're just able to take down Dig immediately. Bullet time doesn't even really hurt as Johnsun tries to fire his ult across the team of Golden Guardians. And it looks like Golden Guardians trying to move themselves to 6 and 7 shortly. They cannot move in with the cannon minion though, baroned up. They got another wave. Will they stay? Like I said, they still have top side. And do they have teleport on whoever's coming up? No, they don't. It's huhi. So they have to get back.
This is kind of like, I was actually watching an MMA fight last night, Riv.
Yeah, everybody's talking about that one.
Yeah, so
loved it.
Did you see the beginning where they were just kind of dancing around each
Indeed.
other? The crowd started booing because
wait,
it was so...
you're paying to go to a dance show?
Yeah, I mean, it was so long before either of them threw a punch, but now, as you see the first punch thrown, Golden Guardians just immediately... Floodgates open, they're ending this one. Hauntzer getting the big Q3 there, smashing it with the slow-mo in the end, under the Nexus turrets, with the Baron buff as well. They just lay devastation to the Dignitas side, and this is a landslide victory for the Golden Guardians.
That was like the bell ring though, right? They got padding, got that little goopy stuff on their eyes, so it's not gonna swell or bleed. They're good.
Yeah. We're not calling this one yet.
It's a little puffy, but they're good.
Yep.
We can get out there.
One more round to go. They're gonna have to have some crazy good moves here on Dig to get a lot of points in quick. Actually, yeah, you probably can't even count on points at this stage. You're just going to have to go for a knockout.
Yeah.
So Dig, let's see the knockout.
The jabs don't work. There has to be a full swing, and the haymaker's already on the wrong side. You want it on your side. And that's going to be huhi coming in big at support for Golden Guardians this game. They've really just been able to dominate the map and continue this dominance through each lane, all the way up the inhibitor turret now on top side. That's the last one left. And they're going to leave FBI for now, as it looks like they're going to want to route around here and push Dignitas, squeeze them in their own base.
All right. Last point of defense here for Dig. Top side inhibitor turret. Golden Guardians have super minions flooding in. They've got champions flooding into the base as well. And I don't think they can deal with either.
It's just a wall of Dig right now. They're like, if we all 5 put ourselves in front of this turret, we can do it. aphromoo getting a bit more heal back up. Huni on the right side takes Hauntzer right away. The Nexus turret's going to be the focus for Golden Guardians, and they take it down immediately as Johnsun almost falls. The DPS getting pushed out of the sight for Dignitas on both sides. And now it looks like the Nexus is in the eyes of Golden Guardians as they pick up a little more gold with the victory over Dignitas.
Golden Guardians picking up their big win over Dignitas here. More separation, 6 wins now for them. Feeling a lot more comfortable.
What a game. So methodical from the beginning. Both teams seem timid, but then that can also be seen as Golden Guardians not putting themselves in a place to be picked. Dignitas was warding, looking for those picks, but neither were finding that window in the beginning, and you can take that a whole bunch of ways.
Yeah, and I wouldn't say on the side of Golden Guardians that they were timid, because they're saying,
That's true,
all right,
that's true.
we're going to go take the objective. Do you have anything to say about it? No? Okay, well, we'll move on to the next objective then. We will go now take the mid turn. We will take the top turn.
Yeah.
We will take the Rift Hill. We will take the Dragon. And they're able to get it.
They were putting the chances up. Golden Guardians are going to take the victory, and when we return, the Tigers is sitting down with the victorious Goldenglue. You don't want to miss it.
Welcome back, everybody, to the LCS. I am sitting on by with Goldenglue after a very convincing win. I do want to touch specifically on some things with your career, but before we get to that, let's reflect on that game a little bit, because it was very convincing from the outside perspective.
Yeah, in the game, I never really felt like they were doing anything. I kind of felt like we were in control the whole time. And I was more worried about us just throwing the game than them actually winning. I was just like, as long as we don't mess up, this game's a free win. Like, they're not doing anything.
Anero said that the communication aspect was a big motivator for bringing Huhi in. Did you feel there was a difference in the team dynamic?
Jay definitely talks a lot. Like, Huhi, that's like one thing he brings to the team is he's like constantly talking. And then I think it can help us like create plans when like people don't see, like when you communicate a lot, you can create plans that other people don't see. So it definitely helps.
I know recently, speaking about talking a lot, you had to talk a lot because there was a Drive episode highlighting your career. And I don't know if people realize just how deep that mentality goes for you, that underdog mentality. So what does having played, for anyone that didn't watch it, you should definitely go watch this Drive episode. It talks a lot about his career, not just in the LCS, but the start from football. So how does that competitive experience and having to play behind people like Caden Smith really allow you to push through in the face of adversity?
I think the number one thing that having competition with someone who's like going to be an NFL player, I think it creates like more of like a family bond. Like it taught me how to be a good teammate even when I wasn't going to be the one starting. So I knew how to like support my team and like make sure that the team is as strong as they can be, even if it means that I'm not the one shining, you know? So I think that's the kind of mentality I still try to bring to League of Legends. Like I will make sacrifices, like I will give people farm if it's better for the overall team. That's just really what it taught me.
And to be honest, you have a lot of fans, not just on the outside of those that are watching the LCS, but I feel like a lot of people speak so much about wanting to see you succeed because of that aspect. So now you're on a team, Golden Guardians, where you obviously want to strive for the top success, but you're having to kind of battle it out in this portion of the playoffs. How do you use that and share with the rest of the team to keep the eyes on the prize when it's not necessarily as clearly as, oh, the ultimate title is in our sights?
Yeah, I think it's a pretty interesting situation for almost all the teams that are like in this middle. Like we're all pretty much tied and anyone can beat anyone. And it's actually really fun because it's stressful. Every single game matters so much to making playoffs. Like we're not like one of the top teams who pretty much has playoffs guaranteed. I think I like to think of it as just like a blessing to compete every single week. And like I think that it's kind of hard to think about like, oh, our goal is just winning playoffs when we first need to like, our goal is we need to make playoffs first, right? So I think by just focusing on the everyday, like just the process, that helps us eventually get to the place where we can say like, okay, we want to win the finals now. Like this is our goal.
Now, speaking of taking it every day, having a support system by you every day does help. And you are on the end of the spectrum for professional players that have parents that are very supportive. Yeah. And you even said before we came on here that you feel most people wanted to watch the Drive episode for your mom, for Golden Mom here. So what is that like from your early competitive career to high school and then making the transition to go LCS?
I mean, I would say like I was able to make the choices that I made just because I know my parents supported me. Like I knew that I wasn't going to get like excommunicated from the family or like, no, everyone's going to support the choices I was going to make. So I just kind of chose like the hardest, riskiest path possible because I knew I always had my family to fall back on.
Before we went into this game in particular, the desk was having a debate on to whether the pressure was on Huhi being a new person coming into this, but it has a domino effect on the rest of the roster and how to adapt when these changes happen. You went in with a roster swap into the split, and then you have this player swap partway through. So what does that do to your approach for the remainder of the regular season and potential playoffs?
I don't know if Jay felt more pressure. I'm assuming he did because it was his first like LCS game. I didn't feel any extra pressure like doing a player swap. I kind of felt like we're just gonna keep doing the same thing, same processes, and it doesn't really change much for me. But I'm sure for him, like it's probably pretty nerve-wracking playing your first game after playing in Academy all season. But he's played in LCS a long time. Like he's kind of a veteran, so I don't think it affected him too much.
And well, before we head into a break, any thoughts to all the fans and everyone that did tune into the Drive episode and got to learn a bit more about you?
Yeah, I just want to say like thank you to everyone who's sending me messages saying like that my story was like inspiring to them or helped them out if you're going through a tough time in your life. I think a lot of people go through tough times and most people don't share it. So it's really nice when people like message me and say like, hey, you sharing your story like made me feel better about my situation. So yeah, thank you to all those people.
And again, to anyone that has not checked out this episode of Drive, you can go ahead and do so through the link. You can find it through the YouTube channel. But for now, we're going to go ahead and send it over to the desk for a breakdown.
Thank you, the Tigress. I'll say it again. She said it plenty, but I'll say it one more time. One of the best Drive episodes out there. If you have not seen it, I highly, highly, highly recommend going and checking out Goldenglue's story as they pick up a very important win here. And we've brought Apollo onto the desk to help us break down that absolute banger of a game.
I know.
Fastest of the day.
Fastest of the day by 5 seconds, but you wouldn't have thought so much based on the way the game played out.
Yeah, I mean, there's the general theory of league relativity, which is as the kills per minute approaches 0, there's actually some time dilation. So while the in-game clock read 28 minutes, we actually experienced a year.
Wow.
That's how much time extended for when nothing's happening.
Oh my goodness, I'm almost 30
Yeah.
now. Mark, what happened? What do I do? No. Apollo, what was your take on this and the way it developed in such a slow fashion with these kinds of picks on the board?
I mean, I think you look at the blue side team comp and you're thinking very snowbally, so much action. They have Kalista, Sett, even Pantheon too, right, for dives, and then 28 minutes later.
So naturally,
They snowballed at 28 minutes.
After 28 minutes, the first team fight of the game starts, and then the game ended.
Actually, no, that is so wild. It's actually wild to think about that the game ended at a time that you would expect for this team comp.
Yeah.
But that the first fight didn't come until way beyond the time that you would
the
expect it to
snowball
come.
started really late, but it was a really fast
It was an
snowball.
avalanche.
It was a big snowball. I think it started off really big.
Let's take a look. This is First Blood coming in at 26:09. 13:30 was the longest it had taken for a First Blood yet this split, and we were only 40 seconds away from the latest First Blood in LCS history since we've been tracking it. But I think both teams, knowing that, decided to go ahead and pull the trigger here in the mid lane.
Yeah, their name ramming and Goldenglue set it up with a nice scatter that got followed up by the flash stun from huhi.
First there it is.
Yeah.
I mean, that was 26 minutes of tension that was just being released.
They have like Kalista, Sett, Pantheon, and then their first engage was a Syndra stun. Like that's the weirdest part is like you have these champions that are supposed to be like going in super forward, and then the control mage backline starts out the fight like he's had enough. It's like, okay guys, let's do this.
And something that does happen is like you have all these engage tools, but no one wants to whiff, and the enemy team has all those flashes. So you're like, oh, I don't want to throw my Sett in and then have them all flash out. And then because you never do it, no one ever flashes, so the flashes are always up.
Never start that cycle of trading
and so
abilities.
You get in this weird thing where because you heard Goldenglue talking about, they weren't going aggressive, they were never doing anything.
Yeah.
So like you have to be the one to kind of go the extra step to finally start that
That's
fight.
actually something that's really interesting because this is Dignitas with a new jungler not doing anything, right? You subbed in this jungler. This is the guy that's supposed to be leading the charge with a Rek'Sai. I mean, out of all champions to be aggressive early, this puts a lot of question marks in me for Dignitas and if they move forward into the playoffs.
I think like their early game team comp, I'm sure they could have made plays, but like after a certain point, Rek'Sai is going to be useless. Not useless, but like he has no job after a certain point. Like he has to go for the flank,
He's fired halfway through the game.
His job is flash on burrow.
But like you have all the Syndra, for example, he's like the throws. She's throwing out spells that are very non-committal, so it's like that's what it looks like. But I mean, they had what it was like Zoe, Mordekaiser, Thresh, MF, Rek'Sai.
Yep.
So how are you going to start a fight, right? Besides
It's a hooker and nothing else, right?
So I think that's why they felt like really pressured after a certain point. Like when Zoe gets not behind, but when she doesn't have control, it's just okay. Now we have to wait for something to happen. And usually what happens is you sit mid the NA RAM, and then you go to an objective and.
I think what adds to the hilarity though, in all of that is like, what were they fighting over?
Yeah.
Well, Dragon was coming up. Or Dragon was up.
Do you think
So we'll fight about it on that side of the map.
Yeah.
Paul, do
And then
you
the
think
winner gets to go take it.
that Dignitas should have drafted more tools to do anything? Because why would you pick something that says, all right, well, our job is over,
You
we're
could question
fired?
the draft a little bit. I think I'm personally not sure exactly how the top lane matchup goes, but they need to snowball either like one of the side lanes, or sorry, one of the lanes. Like they need to have Zoe ahead, or Mordekaiser ahead, or MF Thresh, because those are the two. Like you have a Rek'Sai, that's his whole point, is to like get control over the lanes, snowball those lanes. But he's not like going to go into the mid game. He's not like a Gragas, right? He's not going to do this, wombo combo for the team fight engage. So I mean, you can maybe question the draft a little bit. I mean, it came down to play more than anything, right? They had 20 minutes plus to do something, and they did it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about play then for the two guys who were jumping onto the LCS stage for the first time this split this weekend. Akaadian, of course, suffering a loss yesterday and another one here today, and then Huhi as well stepping up in the support position, coming away with a victory. But how do we feel about that substitution? How do we feel about the way Huhi looked on that set of all things?
I mean, we saw him play one fight, which was really good out of him. Really impressive to bust
No
that out.
ISO deaths.
Yeah,
That's
that's
an
the
improvement.
thing.
When we did tier lists, so you guys had Keith down in that 10 slot. What you guys cited as one of the major factors was the number of deaths, and in particular, isolated deaths.
28 minutes of 0 ISO deaths or kills is better.
All right,
be fair, though.
so where does Huhi go on the list after one game?
I mean, he had Kalista too, though.
Yeah.
That helps to not get ISO death.
And it helps with
Oh, that's true. You get a get out of jail free card. But where would you do it? I'm making you make a call off of one game.
Above aphromoo, we just beat him.
Yeah, there you go.
Where was Afro on your list?
Six or seven. It was seven.
Hey, that's a playoff.
Very safe
That's a
bet.
playoff
Well
level
done.
support right there. That's a playoff level support.
Hey, we're making something out of a one-fight game.
My final question to you, Apollo, is a little bit more of a league-wide question. We are experiencing an interesting race towards playoffs where so many teams are within, 2 games of each other and vying for a couple of remaining slots in the playoffs. As compared to previous splits of experience for you in terms of playoff races, is there any difference with this kind of messiness at the bottom of the table as, say, competition for the 1 seed? Those are decided. That's already done. It's all about who's just going to sneak in right now.
I mean, the pressure is all the same. I think it is kind of daunting to look at the standings, and you're like, wait, so if we lose this game, we're 9th? How does that make sense?
Yeah, we're like, we have a 500 record, and if we lose, we're in 9th? That's
So
great.
I think that's the weird thing, but at the end of the day, all your matches are going to matter the same. Like, you want to get a win, you don't want to lose, right? So it's weird to look at, but for the most part, everyone's trying to get into playoffs. I think CLG right now have the best position because they get to just knock teams out. That's all they're trying to do. They're just they're just trying to make our lives a little bit worse.
Plain spoiler. All right, well, Paulo, thank you so much for joining us on the desk to break down that one. Wish you the best of luck in the remainder of the split. Hopefully see you in the postseason. We're taking a break. When we return, we've got Evil Geniuses versus Counterlogic Gaming.
In Texas, you don't speak English?
Yeah, you talk like this.
Well, that's English.
Y'all want to go to Applebee's after this one?
Oh, now it's going to be Afro going down for first blood. It's going to the hands. FBI, he says, open up. We're coming on in. He's going to be in the death realm. Huhi in the death realm. But they take the tanky guy, and he's going to be able to come back out with a 50 kale shot coming from Goldenglue. There's another one as Akaadian falls to the floor. He'll drop Johnsun too. Being clean. Possible fight coming in, and it is a fight. No possibility needed. Akaadian goes down. They're going to lose another one in Huni, and it is quick for Dignitas. Johnsun almost falls. The DPS getting pushed out of the sight for Dignitas on both sides. And now it looks like the Nexus is in the eyes of Golden Guardians as they pick up a little more gold.
So Josh, you going for our Drive Safe and Save discount?
Yep, using the app, driving safe. You wanna go, bro? Do not mess with my discount.
Get a discount up to 30% with Drive Safe and Save.
Well, it's about time we got to work. There we go. Red Bull gives you wings. The new Red Bull Zero and Red Bull Sugar Free. Full of wings, free of sugar.
When you're chasing greatness, just remember, it's not about what you say. It's about what you do.